Hello, everyone. I'm Ian Smith with FedSmith.com, and I wanted to bring you an update today on the status of the OPM retirement backlog. Now, that's the total inventory of retirement claims at the Office of Personnel Management, or at least pending within the federal government's retirement system. And the news is quite significant today because the backlog has hit an all-time high. As far as I can tell, based on all the data I've reviewed, the backlog has never been this high before, and that's reviewing data back to 2012. I'm not going to get real deep into the numbers. If you're a numbers person, I've written an article on this topic, and I'll leave a link to that in the description. It goes into a lot more detail. But I did want to make you aware of the situation and just touch on some of the high-level points about it because it is a subject of interest. And especially it's going to be of interest to you if you have recently retired from federal service or you're planning to retire soon. The Office of Personnel Management just released their latest monthly retirement figures, and these data are as of the end of February. And the total inventory of retirement claims at the Office of Personnel Management now are 65,237 total claims. And the size of the total backlog grew 21% in February alone over the previous month. The last time it was even close was in January 2012. It was at 61,108. So that's why I say it's the highest it has ever been, again, as far as I know, based on the data I have reviewed. In February, OPM received 31,240 new retirement claims. And the numbers of digital and paper submissions coming in were nearly equal. I'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment. But since October of 2025, the start of the current fiscal year, the OPM retirement backlog has increased by 88.6%. But you can see how much the total size of the retirement claims inventory has grown during that time. In October, it was 34,587. As I said, in February, it's now over 65,000. But on the other hand, the processing, OPM has really stayed on top of it. You can see the percentage change in the number of claims that have been processed in that time as well. The retirement inventory backlog has grown. OPM has really stepped up the processing to its credit. So why is this happening? Well, as I'm sure you're aware, the federal workforce has shrunk dramatically over the last year or so. And so that ties in directly with why the retirement claims inventory has grown so much, is because so many federal employees are leaving federal service. OPM has released some new figures on that as well that ties directly into all of this. The size of the federal workforce peaked in 2024, and this is looking back to 2015, at 2,313,216. Now, as of where we are in 2026, that number is down to 2,035,344. The federal workforce, going back to 2015, was steadily increasing pretty much every year. But then all of a sudden, of course, you see in 2025 the really sharp drop. And OPM released some other figures on that as well. Since January 20th, 2025, 264,228 federal employees have left the federal workforce. And 52% of those employees, or 136,823, took the deferred resignation program buyout offer that was made back in January 2025. So most of these federal employees have left voluntarily. And again, that ties into why the backlog of retirement claims has been growing so rapidly, especially starting in August, September of last year. It really started to tick up, and it's culminated now in February. Now, as I mentioned earlier, digital retirement processing, that's been on the rise, and that is good news in all of this. As the total inventory of retirement claims is growing, so has been the number of incoming claims that are now handled digitally. For decades, OPM has been doing it all manually using paper, but that's changing fast. The digital claims are processed nearly 3 times faster than paper claims. Digital claims now make up roughly half of all incoming retirement claims. That's up from about 30% back in October. And that was when OPM first started releasing data on the numbers of the digital claims coming in. And the average processing time for digital versus paper, the digital claims have been processed on average in 41 days. For paper claims, it's been taking an average of 91 days. That's cumulatively over that time period. And the digital claims processing, that's part of OPM's new online retirement application. They just rolled that out last summer in 2025. And again, it's been growing. And they're in the process of transitioning. So during the transition period, you still have a number of paper claims coming in, and they have to be processed as well, of course. But every month we see that more and more of the retirement claims that federal employees are submitting are done digitally. In fact, OPM, when they rolled this new system out, they said at the time all claims have to be digital after a certain date. So over the long term, I think this has the potential to really speed this process up and bring the backlog of the retirement claims inventory down more quickly than it might have been otherwise. So that's a quick overview of the situation with the retirement claims inventory at the Office of Personnel Management. I hope you found this video helpful. Like I said, it is very unusual. We have a record high backlog of the retirement claims inventory, but the digital claims are on the rise. I think it looks like they're probably going to take over the manual paper claims processing pretty quickly. And as I mentioned, I have written an article on this topic. It goes into a lot more detail, so please check that out. And also be sure to visit fedsmith.com for more news and updates. Thank you for watching and have a good day.